With a worried smile, Sarah thought just the antics of the wind and resumed watching television. However, after a while, strange things began happening in the house. Light started flickering. Doors began slamming with the wind, and peculiar sounds echoed between the rooms. Sarah tried to explain these events naturally, but she started feeling a strange anxiety within. As the night progressed, Sarah found herself unable to sleep. Suddenly, she heard a chilling whisper from inside the house. It was calling out, "Come outside." Sarah. The voice made her feel as if it were following her, yet she couldn't locate its source and fear. Sarah sat in bed, feeling the presence of a ghost within the house. Attempting to be brave, she gathered her courage and moved towards the direction of the voice. When she opened the door, a horrifying scene awaited her inside. Old photos hung along the walls, and an eyeless baby crib silently rocked. Sarah couldn't recall creating such a dark decor in her own home. Suddenly, she realized there was a graveyard inside the house. In the middle of the bedroom, a tombstone with her name engraved on it stood, shocked. Sarah recalled a ghost approached her, saying, "Death is waiting for you, Sarah. You will find peace in your grave." As the ghost directed her towards the tombstone, the young woman suddenly woke up in a panic, sweating and out of breath. She returned to the reality of her room. The silence in her house had turned into a peaceful tranquility. However, Sarah was still under the influence of that surreal nightmare, trembling in her bed. The ghost's threatening whisper lingered in her mind, whether it was real or not. Finding peace in the silence of her home would prove to be quite challenging. Despite waking up in the familiar surroundings of her room, Sarah couldn't shake off the lingering unease from the nightmare. The ghostly whisper continued to echo in her mind, creating an eerie atmosphere that seemed to permeate the very air around her. As Sarah lay in bed, she noticed a subtle change in the room. The shadows seemed to dance in an unsettling manner, and the air felt heavy with an otherworldly presence. The once serene tranquility now carried an undercurrent of tension. Determined to dispel the lingering fear, Sarah decided to investigate the house. She cautiously stepped out of her room, and to her surprise, the hallway appeared longer and more ominous than usual. The faint glow of moonlight cast eerie shadows on the walls, playing tricks on her imagination. As she moved through the dimly lit corridor, Sarah heard faint whispers, as if the walls themselves were sharing secrets. The temperature dropped, and a chilling wind swept through the house, causing the candles to flicker ominously. Each step Sarah took felt heavier, the atmosphere growing more oppressive. The whispers intensified, and she could now discern fragmented words that sent shivers down her spine. The house seemed to be alive with a malevolent energy, responding to an ancient call, driven by a mixture of fear and curiosity. Sarah found herself drawn to the room where the ghostly encounter had occurred in her dream. The door creaked open with a haunting sound, revealing a sight that mirrored the nightmare. The old photos still hung on the walls, and the eyeless baby crib swayed in a ghostly rhythm. As Sarah took in the scene, the room transformed before her eyes. The air thickened with an unseen force, and the whispers coalesced into a spectral chorus. Shadows danced with increasing intensity, and the temperature plummeted. In the center of the room, the tombstone with her name stood tall, casting an ominous silhouette. The ghostly figure emerged once again, its voice echoing through the room. "You cannot escape, Sarah. Embrace the inevitable." Terrified but determined, Sarah mustered the courage to confront the apparition. She demanded answers, challenging the ghost's ominous prophecy. The room pulsated with an otherworldly energy as the ghost's form wavered. The atmosphere reached a crescendo, and Sarah felt a surge of power within her. The ghost recoiled, its whisper turning into a desperate plea. The room seemed to resist the unearthly force, and with a blinding light, everything faded away. Sarah awoke once more, this time truly in her own reality. The room was silent, and the oppressive atmosphere had lifted. The nightmare had released its grip, leaving only the residue of fear. As Sarah caught her breath, she questioned the nature of her experiences. Was it a mere dream, or had she ventured into a realm where the line between reality and the supernatural blurred? The answers remained elusive, but one thing was certain: the echoes of that haunting night would linger in the corners of her mind, casting shadows on the serenity of her home.